Nourish the soul by tending to the parts of you that long for care. Welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey. I am your spiritual tour guide, Jah, and N is for nurture. So I want to talk about the topic of not just nurturing as far as the physical, but on all aspects. And I have my notes with me today because this one's a doozy, because I feel like it gets trapped in a box as well as far as what nurturing is. You know, a lot of us, when we think of self-care, self-love, we think of meditation, the spa, and all encompassing. But beautiful quote I saw. It says, think of the soul as the essence of who you are, your values, your meaning, your inner life. Soul care means creating space to reconnect with what truly matters to you, your purpose, your creativity, your sense of peace. And I love that. It was anonymous, so I can't say who said it, but I saw it online and I thought it was a great quote because it really does tap into the essence of who we truly are when we stop and think about what nurturing is. Let's talk about your purpose. Your purpose is not to fulfill other people's duties. Your purpose is not to fulfill other people's wishes or dreams or needs. That's not your purpose. That is something that you can do if your soul is aligned with wanting to help people. If you're a nurturer by trade like me and you just love helping without thinking about it regardless, that's fine. But real nurturing comes back down to your sense of purpose of self. So for me, my purpose on this earth for myself is to just exist. Point blank period. I feel this is true for everyone across the board. You are not here to do anything for anyone. That's not your purpose. We have duties that align with some things that drive our purpose. If you love to give and creating spaces, safe spaces for other people and teaching and all that is something you do, then that could be a part of your purpose, but it's not your sole existence. So for me, my sole existence is not creating for others. My sole existence is creating for myself, because I have so much inside of me that I love to express and I want to express that I need to put it somewhere. And so doing so gives me a drive and discipline and a sense of self that then becomes what I consider my purpose. Because creativity to me is the most important part of self-expression and imagination and integration of soul and the physical. Remember, the body is the earth. It belongs to the earth. It will go back to the earth. It does not belong to the soul. It does not belong to the essence of our idea of who we are. It goes back to the earth. Again, when that body's gone, that body's gone. It's your essence of self, identity, legacy that's left behind that people remember. Your spirit. You know, when people say, oh, they just walked into a room, they just lit it up. They weren't talking about your body. They were talking about your energy, right? So that's when we say, when you nurture yourself, that's what people feel. That's what people remember. And again, it's not for them, it's for you. So if you do it right, you're going to be one of those energies that people are just say they're unforgettable. And you can also, again, there's the dualistic part. You can be an energy that's so negative, that's so, it sucks the air out of the room, everything, and some people like that. It's a sense of power for them. So for them, that becomes something of how they think it's a nurture. Now, don't get it wrong. You can nurture yourself with negative energy, but you're not going to be fed. It's literally like superficial fast food. So I want people to remember, again, there's always this dualistic aspect of there's always going to be naysayers. There's going to be people who never made it past the first 5 seconds of my video and they're going to have a bunch of negative stuff to say. That's fine. That's what they nurture themselves with. That's why they never feel fed. And that's why they don't have a sense of purpose. But when you honestly can see the work that people are doing, you have a sense of identity, and you know how to nurture that identity, then when you're giving back to self, you're going to be able to easily give back to others, and others will recognize that in you. That's the part of that sense of peace that comes along with knowing what we call purpose, right? So your self-care is aligned not because you need to give purpose, but because you are purpose. I hope that one makes sense. So going down the list, soul care. This one is, I choose to reconnect with what matters. Now, these are my notes. This one I had to sit with because it's one of those things where everybody wakes up and they're like, I gotta work. I gotta work. I gotta work. I have to go to work. I have to do this. And I'm like, when I really stopped and think about it, I saw a TikToker say it where it's like it's really not hard to replace your 9 to 5 income as an entrepreneur. If you can find 1 or 2 clients who can pay you a couple thousand, and again, it doesn't have to be, that could be a couple hundred that ends up to being a couple thousand, then just keep doing that monthly and you've done it. It's hard for people because they're like reliant on that check. They're reliant on those consistent hours, and that's the trap. I'm not saying that corporate jobs and 9 to 5s are bad, but what I'm saying is if you can go learn their systems, learn their culture, learn their workflow, learn how to do everything they tell you to do, and then make money for them and their ideas and their dreams and their vision, why can't you do the same for yourself? It takes time and it takes practice. And to me, that's part of nurturing. In order to give back to self, you actually have to be disciplined in knowing how to train yourself to do what you need to do for you. So while I'm working my 9 to 5, over these years, I've been building my business consistently, and it keeps growing and it keeps thriving, and it's not going to stop, right? That's the point of it. None of this stuff is overnight. That's what people keep saying. It's being an entrepreneur is not for the weak of heart, because you're not going to see results sometimes for years. You're not going to see results sometimes for months, whatever. But it will come. It eventually catches up to itself, because guess what? You have inventory. Inventory simply means I was consistent in what I did, and now I have social proof to prove that I've been here, putting in the work, putting in the time, and now others want to invest in me. To me, that's simply saying, okay, again, it's going to always be tied back to some level of social, but I'm not saying that because people give me social credentials that means that I feel worthy. I already feel worthy. That's why I'm putting my information and my creations out there, because I'm not afraid of the judgment. What I care more about is not listening to my soul path. And my soul path says we need to produce content, because I've lived in a past life and past timelines where I didn't listen to myself, I didn't trust myself, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and now I'm here to do it. And sometimes I feel the urgency in this soul where it's like, we can go any minute. And that's where, again, if we start doing real somatic work and real trauma work and really clearing the past, you start thinking like, my past life must have ended a few times early, because in this life I feel this urgency to get it done. But the patterns have shown me there's no rush. You are fine. When the Lord is ready to take you, the universe is going to assist. Until then, you're fine. Do what you got to do. Live your life, because there's nothing that you can do to stop whatever's going to happen. So for me, learning how to connect with what matters to my soul meant that I had to actually listen as a human and say, okay, how do I integrate what I know without a shadow of a doubt? Because again, when it comes to beliefs and faith, you gotta be Delulu. You gotta know what you know and just go with it. No matter how much people try to say, well, that's not real and here's the proof. Again, proof is just a collection of other people's ideas. So if you have enough proof of other people's ideas, some people say that's truth. My truth is my experience. So whatever I actually physically experience, actually emotionally experience, actually mentally experience is my reality. That's my truth. I don't care what anyone else says. Now, again, we always know there's scientific proof. Again, that is just trial and error that's been proven on this physical realm. It does not mean that it can't be disproven or that it won't change with evolution, because it does all the time. So we have to remember that, again, what we call truth is subjective. Objectively, we can come up with things that back up what we're saying, but that doesn't mean that it's giving us a real sense of what matters to us. So if what matters to you is proving other people right with other people's information, go for it. But for me, what matters to me is proving myself right, so that I continue to stay motivated in doing what I need to do. Next bullet point, emotional. I say this one to myself daily, which is I notice or feel this thing. I do that all the time. Now, it can be a slippery slope if you're all really observing your emotions to the point that you're giving them identities they don't deserve, because sometimes what I feel is not always necessarily true. That's why knowing your truth is more important than knowing someone else's truth, right? If I'm saying that, oh, I feel this way, and people are like, oh, that means you're depressed. You must be depressed. Okay, well, it's possible that I'm depressed, or I feel this way because I noticed and recognized that I've been implanted with thinking that I need to feel this way to have this thing at this certain time, this way, this way. And now the emotion of depression is associated with this idea of lack, that now I can either go into this room and sit and become depressed, or say, no, I see that it could become that, but that's not it. I'm in no rush. I don't need to get everything done today. It is what it is. It'll get done the way it needs to get done. And you can do this again by journaling. You can do this by talking to a friend if you need to. You can do this talking to a therapist. As long as you become aware of what the emotion is trying to say to you, and you're listening wholeheartedly without judgment. Because we all judge ourselves on some level, like, oh, well, yeah, sure, okay, well, I do this and I do that. And it always turns out, no, I have extracted that always from my vocabulary. It doesn't always happen. It has happened up to a certain point because I chose to keep getting on a bike and going down the same path with the same whatever roadblocks, challenges, whatever. And yeah, I overcame them and I won that race, but then I finished the race and realized there was a whole other path that was completely clear with no blockage, and no one was stopping it, and no one said we couldn't take it. We just forced ourselves to go down this road of challenge because we thought we had to. That's what growing up without knowing what emotional intelligence means. It means that you literally are going through life choosing all the most challenging paths just because you think you have to. That's why I don't believe in that whole pull it up by the bootstraps and all that stuff. No, I didn't ask for struggle. I didn't ask for lack. So therefore, I'm not going to accept struggle or lack. This is one that people don't want to hear, but it's true. Yes, you can. I have literally been living in my car, sleeping on people's couches, not having employment. And in that time, I never felt lack. I was like, this is a transition point. And people are like, how do you feel and think though? Because I was like, I know this ain't gonna last forever. The first time it happened, devastating, heavy, sadness. You don't know what to do with yourself. But then something inside me is like, all you need is this. All you got to do is this. And I was like, I trust you. I believe you. Let's do it. And I did it and it worked. And that's when I truly started to listen to my inner voice, because my inner voice has never steered me wrong. Not once, not ever. What has steered me wrong is me thinking that I know better as the physical form and saying, well, let me try. And it's like, okay, go ahead and try. You're going to get the answer soon. You don't want to hear the truth because you thought that your judgment was solid. But at the end of the day, judgment can sway, and that's okay. Based on, again, what we feel we deserve or need, again, based on imprinting, life, child, whatever. That's why, again, it's important to know how to navigate all of that emotional stuff without it becoming a reality again. It's there. It's not going anywhere. As long as you're on this earth, you have an emotional blueprint that was given to you. You have a script that was given to you. Do you have to continue to read that script? No. Do you have to continue to participate in the play that script was written for? No. You could acknowledge it and say, yeah, that's where it came from and that's what it is, but I rewrote my own script. I made my own new play. I'm living in my own world. Hell, I built my own theater. I'm not even in the same category with y'all no more. Y'all over here focused on living life out of somebody else's theater. Yeah, you got your own script and you got your own play, but it's still somebody else's theater. I built my own. And that's why it's important to, again, know yourself, love yourself. When I say love yourself, it's trust what your body is telling you to do. Don't put doubt into your own beliefs, because when you put doubt, I always say all belief is laced with doubt. And you can't get to faith if you keep believing in doubt. Eventually you have to just say, listen, that's how it worked for you, and it don't work for me that way. And if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And that's how you get through those emotional blockages, because it's like, at some point, you're gonna realize, I'm lying to myself. I know that I can do this. I know that I can try. Like, even now, being on YouTube, it's always been a daunting thing to start for years, because most people tell you, like, oh, it's easy, it's not a lot of work, da, da, da. Some people say it's a lot of work. The part that's a lot of work is the editing. That's it. You don't have to heavily edit your videos, but you still literally, from me recording on my phone to uploading it to the cloud to downloading it on my device or doing it on my computer, waiting for it to download, waiting for it to upload, then you got to take it, upload it to YouTube. That takes sometimes it takes like an hour to upload. And then you got to put in your tags and this and that and whatever else you want to. You can put it up, and you don't even got to do all that. The uploading itself takes forever. And in a world that's hedonistic and wants it now, yeah, it feels like a lot of work. I'm just being honest. Compared to TikTok, I can record a video, bam, hit publish, it's done. It feels easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and it's like, thank you. That's why a lot of people ran to TikTok, and that's why TikTok blew up so fast, because it was able to produce content that you usually had to put a little bit of work in. That's why I respect YouTube, because yes, you do have to put some footwork in. You gotta put the groundwork in. And so for me, once I really started to invest more time into it and realized, oh, I have my template, this is easy. Now just publishing it ain't nothing. I got all my templates made. I got everything I need to do. I pre-write my scripts. I pre-do everything I do, because what do I mean by that? I work in strategy. I am a behavioral strategist in marketing. So my main thing is always making sure that I have content ready to go on the fly when I need to do it. All of my content is original. Yes, I use tools like Grammarly. Yes, I use ChatGPT sometimes to edit stuff and other things. Yeah, like AI is here. I know people hate it, they don't want to hear it, but at the end of the day, there's been people out there when they used to, let's see, do a photo shoot and they Photoshop you. Okay, well, instead of a human sitting there and Photoshopping a human body for hours, now computers do it. That's the part where they're talking about you're taking our jobs. Stop it. For me, it comes down to morals, how you use it, how you utilize it. So a lot of things that we have to remember is don't let people stop you from telling your story. The only thing that these computer systems and programs have helped me do is expedite how I tell my story. And if you rely only on the information that it's giving you and you create an identity only through the false information that it creates, then yes, people should clock you. And I respect that. But for me, myself, I have too many thoughts. I need help organizing. And no, I can't afford to always hire every single person I want. But guess what? I like the Tyler Perry method, which is let me just produce, get all my thoughts out, and when I make it, I'll hire the people who deserve to have it. Because a lot of people forget that's the purpose of now going into the physical. The physical is about creating a nurturing space where you feel safe to create. And you have to be honest. I'm always going to be transparent about what I do, how I do it, and how I got here. Because people forget, you can go back and look at all my archives. I've been talking the same way before AI ever existed. I've been giving you gems way before AI ever existed. So can't nobody ever tell me, oh, he's reading from AI. Even if I was, so what? At least I know how to articulate and to read a script. Some of y'all don't even know how to do that. No shade, no tea. I'm just saying, sometimes you got to remember that there's always going to be a hater who hates on everything you do. So again, learning how to nurture yourself in this physical world means you're going to do things that people ain't going to like how you got there. Point blank, period. And so for me, that nurturing goes back to trusting what I'm doing, physically eating what I want to eat, but making sure I stay fit enough to that I can still have mobility, because again, mobility is a blessing. It's a gift. Don't let people trick you into believing like, oh, well, you know, it's not that important. And okay, well, you go watch some of them shows on TLC and they'll remind you, and you know what shows I'm talking about. No disrespect to anybody. Mobility is a blessing. It's a gift. And we all have so much time on this earth, so it's important to make sure that you are listening to what the body wants and what the body needs and connecting that back to self. It's necessary, because if you don't, again, that's when the body falls under stress. It feels like it's not being utilized properly and it falls apart. The same thing with creativity. If you're not using your creativity, it's going to go somewhere else. It's going to fall apart in you because you don't believe in it, so it's not going to tap into you. Everything is a frequency, remember? Everything has some source energy that it taps into. So when you nurture yourself, energy likes things that are willing to receive it. Again, you don't have to be the healthiest person to receive energy, but you have to know what to do with it. That's why you have people right now and different things in like politics and stuff who got where they are, because yeah, they might not be what we call quote unquote moral or good, but they know how to use the energy. So as long as they know how to manifest, it's going to keep happening for them, and people are going to keep believing in them, because people believe in what? Results. So if you're getting results even for being a horrible person, you're going to get more people who put energy into that, and that raises the vibration. The vibration is what we physically put energy into. The frequency is what we're saying, what we're spewing, what we're putting out into the world. So for me, my type of frequency is nurturing. That's why I've always believed in giving back, giving back, giving back, giving back, because to truly nurture self means you have to truly nurture society, because you can't walk out into the world and see what's going on and not believe in yourself. It's easy to walk out into the world and just give up and not believe in yourself and just fall into the fold and become like everybody else. And then you can be even more depressed because now you're masking. So for me, it's like, no, I see what I need to do. I need to remain in my space, and my beliefs and my heart, my soul, and continue to do what I do. That's what I continue to do. So now the spiritual part of this is I wrote down a sense of disconnection. That comes when you are not listening to your soul imprint. When you feel like, why am I here? What am I doing? What is the purpose? None of us still have that answer. I don't even think any of us really know. Some people say, oh, it's Earth school and this or that, and my spirits talked to me and told me this. I try not to ever say that. I'm not saying that the spirits don't talk to you and tell you that, because my spirits guides talk to me and tell me stuff. But what I don't want to do is say, this is definitely what they said and definitely what's happening. I don't know. I can tell you what I heard, what I feel, and I'm going to align myself with it, because I know that if I trust in my gut and I listen to myself, then my spiritual realm is going to give me the energy and the readings that I need. That's why when I first started, I was giving everything away. I was telling everything, spiritual, psychic, media, everything, and people were like, okay. And then I realized, I was like, oh, this is the awakening part. This is the isolation part where people aren't there yet. This is the matrix part, right? This is all what that series was about, is the awakening of people are still in their pods. And some will connect and get out, and some will never connect, and they'll stay there forever. And it's not a bad thing. There's nothing you can do about it. But how you alchemize it, how you transmute it, how you utilize it for self, that's where the true power is. That's where it always comes back to. That is true nurturing, is how you use intentionality to get what you deserve. So another quote is, I plan self-care today. No guilt. If I miss it, just start again. I love this quote, because everything I do is a choice. So right now I have a whole calendar of this ABC series I started. And it's like, okay, I have to do it this day, at this time, this topic, this way. And then if I miss a day, it's like, that's okay, I'll do it the next day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed my deadline, and now I'm not gonna be able to get this. I created this, so I don't really care if I miss a day or not. I'll just jump back on it, extend the deadline, and continue forth. That's intentionality. That's me being intentional about what I'm going to do, because I've told myself I'm going to complete this series before August. So that's my goal. That's what I'm doing. So it's not based on somebody else telling me I have to do it this way. This is just a personal goal for myself. I'm like, I want to finish this series so that I can create more series. I want to become more serious about putting videos on YouTube and actually putting my practice into place and actually doing more marketing and talking about what I create and what I do. I have a whole list of over 13 titles and books that I've created. A whole list of them. I don't talk about them often because, again, when you are stuck in that mindset of lack and survival and what do they call it? Imposter syndrome. You don't really believe in yourself the way you should. But you should. This is my logo. These are my clothes. I have a whole store, right? I do all this stuff. But again, that was intentional because I knew at some point in my career, everything I'm doing is going to blow up. Every single thing that I'm creating is going to be international, nationwide, because I built it that way. Not because I'm hoping and praying and wishing. No, I built it to the point that everything I do will be internationally recognized because I made the physical ways for it to happen. I'm using things in e-commerce and stuff that I know if somebody on this side of the country wants to buy my stuff, they can. YouTube is international, so somebody's going to see my stuff and want to purchase it. Right? Somebody's going to see my stuff and want to invest in it. Invest in me. That's why I built everything the way I built it. So when you have intention, you know what you're doing. My whole series is, again, about learning the self. Emotional intelligence is about learning yourself. Through learning self, you're going to learn others, and you're going to recognize yourself in others, and then you're going to learn how to navigate life better. But that's the point of it all. That to me all means nurturing. When you take the time to let yourself grow properly, no matter what environment, everything will fall into place. I've moved so many times in my life, I can't even count. And I used to feel like, oh, I'm so sick of uprooting, I'm sick of uprooting. Well, if I won't be sick of uprooting if I learn how to root somewhere for myself versus rooting for others. That was a hard one for me to learn because I was one of those hopeless romantics. I'm just gonna follow them where they go. And then it don't work out. And it's like, okay, well now I'm lost again. And I had to learn, like, that's not healthy. Don't keep doing that to yourself. And then eventually I learned, like, hey, sometimes it's an adventure. I learned there's a part of me that likes adventures too, where I don't like feeling stuck anywhere for too long. So it's like a double-edged sword where it's like, okay, I've been here long enough. I'm bored with it. I want to go do something else. And I had to learn that's a part of me. So yes, having foundation for self is important, but I also have to remember that I need to be intentional about how I get up and go, and making sure that my life is easy and light. So I tend to not have a lot of heavy spaces and things. My last place, it was really hard to move because I had stuff that I accumulated for over 4 years. And I was like, I don't want to get rid of it. And then I stopped and thought about it. I was like, I don't even touch this. I don't even use it. It's just decoration. And I was like, this is holding me back. So I gave everything away. I gave every stuff. I donated it. I didn't sell anything. I donated everything. Couches, TVs, bedroom sets, everything. Because I was like, somebody else needs it. Let them have it. I can buy it again because I will always have more. I think that's one of the ones where that's something I've always been good at, is nurturing my giving aspect and nurturing my I'll get it again aspect. Because I'm like, I'll get it again. There's been times that, you know how many furniture sets I've been through? That's why I'm like, I ain't worried about it. I'll have it again. It's not hard to attain. So for me, holding on to a couch from 20 years ago, no disrespect, that's not a big deal to me. Unless it's just for sentimental values. I don't care how much it cost me at that time. Once you put your butt on a couch, it's devalued. Do you know how hard it is to sell a couch? Didn't nobody want those couches? Even though they were brand new, just only me, no pets. It don't matter. People don't want it. So I had to learn, like, I put value in it. I don't mean other people put value in it. So that's when I became more intentional, again, about how I lead my life and what I'm doing, because I know that everything I'm creating is going to take me to a place of international stardom. I ran from it. I was like, I don't want to be famous. I don't want that headache. But then I realized there's a part of me that is meant to put my face out there. It's meant for me to be a leader and a voice. I've learned that I'm really good at articulating thoughts and emotions that most people say they don't even think about. And I'm always shocked, like, you ain't think about that? And they be like, no. And then I'm like, oh, why did I think about that? How did I think about that? And it's like, because you nurture yourself. You nurture your spiritual self. You nurture your emotional self. You nurture your physical self. You nurture your intentions. You nurture everything about what you desire and want. And you allow yourself to come back to what matters. And what matters to me is, again, my sense of independence, which is tied to my freedom of creation and how I do it and how I show up in the world. It's also tied to my autonomy, which is how I govern myself, how I decide to wake up in the morning, how I decide to eat, how I decide to exercise, right? My sovereignty, how I decide to pray, how I decide to tap in. These are all nurturing aspects, and all you have to do is allow. The biggest part of nurturing is allowance. Once you stop allowing, you stop nurturing, because you're putting blockages in different routes that could nourish you, right? I always say, think of a plant. You put it in a pot. Just say you do a hydroponics. You got it in the water, it's getting all its nutrients. Once you remove it from those nutrients and put it in a pot, now it's only subjugated to what's in that pot. So that means you now have to make sure it gets proper nutrients, proper light, proper watering. So once you remove it from this conditional element where it's all given to you, now you got to go thrive on your own. That's what childhood is. Everything was given to you and it was great. The artificial light, the artificial nutrients, the house, right? And then out of nowhere, you're ripped out of that and put into ground or earth. And now you have to actually learn how to pull life from darkness, pull nutrients from sources that you didn't know you had to pull it from. That's life. And that's why it says it's important to know how to nurture yourself no matter what environment you're in and how you came out of it. So again, remember, these are all aspects of nurturing. How to love yourself is truly a blessing and a practice. It's a discipline. It's not innate to some people. I know some people think that it's about, again, status and money and cars, but if you're emotionally empty, you can tell. There's people in my life right now that I actively thought they had it and they don't, and I gotta separate myself from them, and it sucks. They're not bad people, but they're just not there. They have nothing to give, they have nothing to share, and I'm like, they don't nurture themselves. And if you try to tell them, you're the enemy. So I've learned, nope, just let them figure it out. I gotta nurture me. I gotta separate myself from this energy. We can still be friends, we can still talk, but I need to get my space. I need to get my own space and get my own, and take my energy back. It's not all, again, it's not about running away. It's not about shutting people out. It's about recognizing when you're more important. And if something becomes so symbiotic that you're giving to it and you're draining yourself and giving nothing back, yeah, that's a parasite. So you want to make sure that you're not a parasite to yourself, because I've watched people just put parasites on them. Be like, oh, I'm so drained. I have nothing left to give to me. You're choosing that. I'm sorry. Stop choosing to be a parasite's host. Be your own host. Give back to yourself. If you're going to be parasitic to yourself. Be so parasitic to yourself that you love so much on yourself that you take everything from you to give it back to you. That's the only type of parasite I accept. Anywho, as always, thank you, loves, for following along. If you made it this far, you're a real one. I appreciate you. Check out my other socials. Check me out on my website, as well as smashing that like button and subscribing. It all goes much further than you realize, as people say. But again, I used to be that person who hated hearing it, but now I know it's important to say. So anyways, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Besos.